let's get down to the nitty gritty and talk about one of the biggest stories of this week so far. Sasha Banks and Naomi walkout. On the night of Monday, May 16, 2022, Sasha Banks and Naomi, real name Mercedes V and Trinity Fatu, walked out of Monday Night Raw citing creative differences of a six-pack challenge / six-woman tag to determine the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. WWE released a statement first, claiming the following. When Sasha Banks and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, they were informed of their participation in the main event of tonight's Monday Night Raw. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis' office with their suitcases in hand, placed the Tag Team Championship belts on his desk, and walked out. They claimed they weren't respected enough as Tag Team Champions, and even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of the opponents, even though they had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequences. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live television show whose characters are expected to perform their requirements of their contracts. We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event. But a Facebook post would later shine light into the entire situation, explaining Naomi and Sasha's situation clearer. By Dirt Sheets Radio, I'll probably leave a link to that in the description, reads the following. Someone close to Naomi and Sasha Banks at Adidas_head88 on Twitter, who is followed by Naomi, was apparently given permission to share the side of the story. You are approached in February as being put in the tag team after both being promised big feuds at WrestleMania. You bite the bullet, put everything you got into being a tag team. It works. You get over, win the titles at WrestleMania, and become merch purchasers. 5 weeks into your reign, you show up to live TV and ready to work. You are told you'll be in the main event. You are happy. You both are then told that one will be going over for the winning pin. You have questions of why the decision was made, and now it helps y'all. You request a meeting with your boss to discuss it. Your boss takes the meeting, and everything actually going well. He understands your concerns. The meeting ends well, and the match is told to be reconstructed. For some reason, producers get mad about it. Then you ask with one of your members going over, what happens to your titles? You are told basically that you will be carrying the belts. They want to use you both to help both women's champions get more over, which led to Bianca versus Naomi, Sasha versus Ronda. It continues on. Neither one of you will win the solo titles, and you won't defend your tag titles until Money in the Bank. You ask for another meeting with your boss, but this time you're being called spoiled. A producer walks away screaming. He comes back and tells both of you to fix your attitudes. Y'all have a brief meeting amongst yourselves and decide to stand up for yourselves. You go to another boss, make it clear you just have concerns. You ask why are you even in the match and why are other women in it. You ask why your titles have no stories for 2 months. Again, you are meant to fix your attitudes. So, after one final meeting with yourselves and asking others, you make the ultimate decision as a team. It's said how one side is trying to create a fucked up narrative. Also, it was asked why were Nikki ASH and Doudrop in the match instead of their starting program tonight. Naomi nor Sasha talked down about being in the ring with either one. I don't know how that got flipped. Well, interesting. Now, fans have been 100% divided by the entire situation. Some are siding with the women on this, but others are siding with WWE. Other questions that have been asked is it all work or shoot? Whatever the case may be, wrestling fans around the world, including wrestlers themselves on social media, have expressed their opinions on this entire situation. So that was the scripted part that I just typed out all during yesterday. This is my 100% full honest opinion, and I'm sticking with it. And if it gets people to dislike me, so be it. I 100% am siding with WWE on this entire situation. Let's make this very clear. The Women's Tag Team Championship titles are shit. They have been shit. They have been useless. They have been absolutely nothing since its inception in 2019. All because the fans and the wrestlers decided to have a push to get the Women's Tag Team Championships made. when it wasn't actually ready. It was not ready to be made. It was not ready. WWE was not ready to have a women's tag team division at all. Sure, you had tag teams like the original Bloodline with Nia Jax and Tamina. You had Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. You had Absolution. You had the Riot Squad. Well, I already said the Riot Squad because I said Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. You had Banks and Bayley. You had a lot of different women. But, if I'm being honest, it was much, much, much better not having a women's tag team division at all, because everyone fared better in singles action, better than they did as tag teams. So now, WWE is scrambling with ideas to come up with for this tag team division. And like, what are you supposed to do? I forgot to mention the Iconics. The Iconics. So in 2019, they followed the fans' instinct. They followed the fans. They followed what the women were saying in the back, and they pushed and they got the women's tag team championships. For almost a number of years since, the women's tag team titles have been absolutely nothing but props. They're Barbie accessories at this point. They're nothing. They're honestly absolutely nothing. So, of course, over the course of time, the belts fade into obscurity, mediocrity, and to the point of just trash and just being a waste of time. Everyone that you can honestly talk to, and people that are changing their opinions now, are hypocrites, because they were the same people that didn't like the women's tag team championships, and now everybody's changing their mind and saying, well, let's put the women's tag team titles higher. Let's make them the best thing that they possibly can be. With who? There's no tag teams at all. And fair credit is WWE's fault, because they split all the tag teams. But what are you supposed to do? You only have actively 23 women on the roster. You can't really build everybody up. And at the same time, there's honestly a lot of women who don't need to have tag team titles. They're better off in singles competition. Sasha Banks and Naomi are perfect examples of better off in singles competition. Naomi is a former SmackDown Women's Champion. She is absolutely great in the ring. She's probably the most underrated women's wrestler in the world right now. Sasha Banks, we all know, is the best women's wrestler in the world by far. In my opinion, better than Becky, Charlotte, Bayley, Bianca, Tessa, Mickey, Deanna, anybody in the world. Sasha Banks is on that level of women's wrestler. But, she's not the almighty. This is not the first time, allegedly, that she's done something like this. She's walked out before. Remember, there were rumors in 2019 that Sasha Banks apparently threw a fit backstage at WrestleMania 35, laid on the ground, screamed, and had a temper tantrum after the women's tag team title match, in which she dropped the titles. She left the company for a number of months until returning in August, having a feud with Natalya for a small bit of time, then feuding with Becky Lynch. And then she's been back and she's been doing some great work, still being the best women's wrestler in the world. My honest opinion is this. Why are you really complaining over tag team titles that don't mean nothing? They mean absolutely nothing. You had a set plan program with Bianca Belair and Ronda Rousey. You were going to be in the top of the women's card. You're mad at that? You're mad at the fact that you're not defending your women's tag team titles that mean nothing? You have no tag teams to face. You have nobody to face. You have no one around to basically build and beat. You gotta be Nikki and Doudrop. Cool. Who's the next team? Nobody. There's nobody there. You get another thrown together tag team. They're gonna split afterwards. Nikki and Doudrop are gonna split afterwards. There's nobody to really face in the women's tag team division. The same can be said for the NXT women's tag division as well. And to be honest, I don't blame WWE for doing what they did, releasing a statement, and I don't blame people for honestly siding with WWE, because they're in the 100% fairness of everything. This is not WWE's fault. Of course, booking-wise, splitting tag teams left and right is not good. But what are you supposed to do? Like, honestly, why are you caring for belts that don't mean anything? It doesn't. You walked out on a contracted obligation, on a contractual obligation that you made over a disagreement of Barbie accessories. That's stupid. If I was one of those two, take this as a hypothetical situation. So you have a job. You've been working there for a number of months, and the job finally pays you about, let's say, $50 a year for your $50 a year for your work for the last 5-6 months. You get a raise, you get your opportunity in the higher ups, but then another job gives you an offer, a much higher offer. They promise to pay out everything that you have from your first job and have you have a higher position than what you had before, and that's maintained for a long period of time. You just got to stay the 1 month at this job so that way you can get the other job. Everything is covered. You get vacation time, you get the perks and everything. You get discounts, anything. What are you gonna do? You're gonna stay at the job that you've already been doing for the last couple of months, try to work your way up to the top, or you're gonna take that second offer that's already got everything for you, plus incentives and royalties. Obviously, you're gonna take the second one. And I've been on Twitter a lot. Recently. Just like talking my stuff. Just basically saying everything that's on my mind. Because, like, this entire situation is straight up stupid. It's so dumb. I only put up my Twitter. It's not working. That's because I'm on Wi-Fi. I had to. Now, as soon as I pull up my Twitter, I should be able to, like, say everything that's on my mind. But I can keep going, like, in this freestyle. So, the thing is, for me, and what I don't understand from the wrestling community right now, is that why are you caring about belts that you never cared about to begin with? When you asked for them, and then you trashed them. You trashed on them at the snap of a finger. It was historic in 2019 when Banks and Bayley won the belts. Cool. Want to know what else has happened with them? Nothing. Not a single thing. The matches can be fine, but nothing matters with those belts anymore. Who is around as a tag team to really face anymore? Natalia's down in NXT. Tamina's doing stuff with the 24/7 title. Liv Morgan is doing things with AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. Also, Rhea Ripley is in Judgment Day. Nikki and Doudrop. They're better off doing something else over the NXT UK. It does not make any sense why you guys are coming to the defense of belts that y'all never cared about to begin with. Because once they come back, if they come back, what are you going to do? Stop caring again. You're going to stop caring again once the belts come back on TV. Because no one cares in the end about tag team titles that have been useless. I'm going to pull up my Twitter so you can get a real sense of, like, how I think about this entire situation. And my Twitter's been going absolutely wild. And I said I was going to make a video on this. I kept my word. Now, this is the first thing I said. Just be grateful you are about to get a push. Screw the women's tag belts. They're Barbie accessories anyway. That didn't get much buzz. And then Sasha Banks said that she's on the level of Vince McMahon. No, you're not. Not even close. Sasha, babe, I love you. You're my bae. But the only person who is at Vince's level is Roman Reigns. That's the only person and no one else. You can have the confidence all you want. It's not even there. You're not there. And then somebody on Twitter tried to make this a race thing. If you're siding with WWE and Vince McMahon against Sasha Banks and Naomi, you're anti-black, anti-woman, anti-black woman. Like, stop making everything a race thing when it's not a race thing. This isn't about race. This is about absolute stupidity. This is about it's about, like, it's everything that's except about race. Like, it's so stupid how everyone in the world is trying to make this a race. Everyone in the world tried to make a situation of black people being a race thing. One of my good people, Christian Miracle, he said, don't start pretending that you give a shit about the dead tag team division on the women's side, all because Sasha and Naomi walked out. 99.9% of those siding with them also wanted the tag team titles deactivated because WWE failed to value them since 2019 and damaged it beyond repair. Duh. Like, that's why we don't really care. And then there's talent that are not siding with Sasha Banks. For obvious reasons, I don't really disagree with those guys. Like, fairness to them. And there's more that I actually posted. There's more that I shared. One of my original tweets was, I'm going to get to it. One of my original retweets was, to be honest, that's not bad. What was given to them, if true. The women's tag titles don't mean shit anyways, and you're competing in a top-tier match with the two top stars of the women's division. In the end, just be grateful. Because really, anybody in the world would love to be Naomi or Sasha Banks. I've held both of them and have a program for the top women's championships in the world right now. That's not the Knockouts title, or that's not even the Knockouts title. The Knockouts title is honestly better than the SmackDown and Raw Women's Championships, if I'm being honest. Like that, anybody would be lucky to have that opportunity. I would 100% take having a singles feud over trying to build belts that don't mean a damn thing. You're working with Ronda Rousey and Bianca Belair. Naomi versus Bianca Belair. Imagine the two having an amazing match at Hell in a Cell. Sure, it's a 1 month thing, but the match that they would have is absolutely incredible. Two black women stealing the show in Chicago, Illinois. Few weeks before Forbidden Door. You're telling me you wouldn't be entertained by Sasha? You wouldn't be entertained by Naomi versus Bianca Belair? You must be the stupidest person in the entire world to not care about that match. Because that match would set the bar for black women in professional wrestling. And it already was set in the beginning with Bianca versus Sasha. And then you have Sasha Banks versus Ronda Rousey, a rematch that a lot of people like myself have been clamoring for 3 years. At Hell in a Cell in Chicago, Illinois. Banks, Ronda, after their epic match Underrated, criminally underrated from 2019 in the Royal Rumble. Fantastic match for the Raw Women's Championship. Not a lot of people remember that because they remember the main event of WrestleMania 35 being Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda. But you gotta remember, Ronda put on some bangers before that time period, and even afterward, even before their women's title match, even before that time period, Ronda was putting on some bangers. She put on an absolute classic with Sasha Banks. That was all about limb. It was all about the limbs and all about technical wrestling. It looks, and then another person on Twitter, Wrestle Features. So it looks like the plan was for Naomi to win the main event of Raw, then face Bianca at Hell in a Cell. Sasha would have then faced Ronda for the SmackDown Women's title, also at Hell in a Cell. And my first reply, if I can find it, because like I said, my stuff was getting just absolute buzzed. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I don't see, one of the first responses was, I don't see why they have a problem with that, honestly. Because they want and another person will tweet, because they want the tag titles to mean something and them being in pointless matches to put over the champions instead of boosting the women's tag division is making it more meaningful. They want to defend those titles not just to hold them as props, when they already were at the beginning just props. My reply was, the belts are trash. I was really going to say fuck them belts, but those belts are really, really, really trash. They don't even have WWE. They don't even have tag teams in WWE to make the women titles feel relevant. Not only that, they're thrown together. Matches last like 50 seconds max, and then that's it. There's no effort into the match. The tag titles will never mean anything. Might as well not care and drop them, period. And then another reply was, that's what they're fighting for, but sure, let's not do anything to improve it. Improve any of it. That makes much more sense. Yeah, like, it's a waste of time. The titles are a waste of time. They've been a waste of time since inception. There's no need to fight for what they could for that when you could have worked top angles with the women's singles champs. And I don't get why you want to be unselfish at that moment. You're the two most incredible women on the roster. Know that. That's why you're going to work that promo. That's why you're going to work that feud. That's why you're going to work that angle with Bianca and Ronda. Because you're that damn good. Don't worry about them damn belts. Screw the belts. You're the two best women, is what they're saying, who can work this kind of angle, work this kind of match that the people are going to be invested in, that the backstage people are going to be invested in, that the officials will be invested in. You want to make yourselves relevant? Work those two programs. Have the match of your life in a city full of wrestling, in an arena historically filled with wrestling. The former All-State Arena. Do it! And then people will try to say that Sasha doesn't need Ronda. And Sasha shouldn't have to get rubbed for Ronda Rousey. Or Ronda shouldn't be able to work a feud with those two. Or work with Sasha. Sasha needs a big time match. That was it right there. She did this to herself. Again. It's all so dumb. It's all so dumb. And like, I haven't made it clear. If I haven't made it clear, this is the clearest I can make it. I'm a massive fan of Sasha Banks and Naomi. I have nothing but positive remarks to say about them. But when I have to look in the light of day and see what I see, I will point it out. This was dumb. This was stupid. This makes no sense. And at the end of the day, whatever punishment WWE decides to give these two is 100% justified. Sasha Banks, in my opinion, should be released from her contract. She should be fired. Naomi, I don't think so. Naomi should be suspended, but not fired either. Because Naomi knows better than that. Naomi, I feel, is much more responsible in handling situations better than what she did. But Sasha Banks, this isn't the first time, and I think 2 strikes you're out. Done. She needs to work on her attitude. She needs to work on being somebody more respectful. And at the end of the day, you need to learn just to be grateful for the opportunity that you had, for the opportunity that you were given. She needs to be off of the market for a little bit. She needs to stay away from wrestling for a while. And in the end, she needs to get herself together. She needs to find her image and what she feels like she needs to be as an adult, because this is child's play. This is acting like a baby again. And it's stupid. That's my take.